Good morning, good morning. Peace and good morning. How are y'all doing today? Tagging a few people on this lovely day in February. Tag some people yourself too, you know. Tag a few people and bring them in with us so we can see what we're talking about. All right. Cool. How's everybody doing? How are you? I don't need to tag that a bunch of times already. Yes, indeed. How are y'all doing today? All right. Shouts out to our guest today, which is going to be boom, crazy way. How you doing? Good morning, good morning. Let me just put that up for a second. I just like that. One of my good buddies placed that up, and I just had to put it up myself because I like what it says. What y'all smoking on this morning? Crazy, yes, does that say crazy yeastin? Peace, Lizard Queen, good morning. What are you smoking on? I really couldn't tell what that was. But yeah, tell me what y'all smoking on. I'm looking for my meme that always take me forever to find. My graph, whatever you want to call it. Peace and blessings, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. I think it's right there. It's coming up soon. Gelato, all right. Some gelato. My name is Gelato and I like to get blotto. I had, mine was actually a mixture between Hellenback and Hippie Crippler, what I had last week, which is from Super Fresh. Very, very good mix. Peace and blessings, So Luxury Bookings. How y'all doing this morning? What are you smoking on, brother? Brothers and sisters. Hey, y'all, tag somebody. What's good? Tag somebody as well if you haven't. Tag somebody, bring them in the fellowship. We got a very good show today. We have some lovebirds, Bub and Meeks. So it's going to be interesting. They have a lot of interesting topics to talk about. And we also want to count our blessings. Our blessings and our lessons. Life is two things. There aren't any good or bad days. There's just blessings and lessons. And even those lessons are blessings when you look at it. So, you might have thought you had a bad day, but if you look at the lesson in it, you can find a blessing in it and count it. You woke up, wiggled your fingers and toes. I need to talk to you about it. Word is bond. So, yeah. Whatever y'all smoking on, put it up in there. Let us know. Peace, brother. Loud America in the house. Peace and blessings. All right. So, yeah, count your blessings, everybody. It's a great day to be alive. Good morning, brother. Every day above ground. We about to get started with our synopsis. All right. Where we at there? Oh, yes, indeed, bro. Yes, indeed. We're going to definitely talk about that very near future. Who you got? Okay. So y'all know we I got on the 420 God's Bible shirt today. Boom, boom, boom. You can see it. Normally I wear a 420 Fellowship shirt, but this was actually one of the first ones that Capital Fashions blessed us with. So you can get all this merch as well just DM me for the merch right now. I'm putting it up on the website. We're a one-man operation. Word up. Indeed, I got you. All right, so last week, let's just go ahead and start today. So, we read out of the 420 God's Bible. Today, we're on day 23. Page a day, a J a day. And so let's go ahead and start with that on 23 today. And it goes posture meeting. Give me a second. Straight is relative. Oh God. Warriors fight daily. Live, die. Die, live. Live, die. Die, live. Fight in a circle. My real life relationship with my Savior has more to do with real agape love and nothing to do with fictional coincidence. Now, break that one down a little. Last week, on day 22, on the last page, on the last sentence of that page is Genesis 9:6. And that says, whoever sheds human blood, by human shall their blood be shed, for the image of God has made mankind. Peace, brother. So, when we talk about this meeting, this posture meeting, this meeting that you have with yourself, and how is everything straight, right? If a man sheds the blood of another man, his blood shall be shed. Straight is relative. Fighting the will of God will keep you in a perpetual revolving door of death and dying, backsliding, and reliving the same mistakes over and over. Peace, Mike. So there are two ways that you can fight and live and die. Like I said, fighting the will of God, which we all know what that is: peace, love, and wisdom and understanding. Or you can stop it, get out that circle, find the balance, finish the jihad, the battle which is inside yourself, the battle to be righteous, the battle to be God. You stop that fight, you win the war. True everlasting life, true immortality, eternal life comes when you stop fighting the will of God. Give in to the will of God. There is no such thing as coincidence. There is God's will, God's time, serendipity, and deja vu are real. You can get a gut feeling of the spirit. Those feelings are real. That's the way. When you're feeling those feelings, the spirit, you're having a real life relationship with the true and living, the Most High. It's not by chance, and it's not a game. True agape love is real. It starts with the self. And when you love yourself as God loves you, when you are God, two gods that you meet, circle, the cipher is complete. And with that being said, peace, peace, peace. Let's get our wonderful guests, Bub and Meeks, Christian tokers, much like the rest of us smokers. I don't know why I'm rhyming today. Good morning.
Good
Peace.
morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good. Where's
Trying to get
Bubs?
he on his way down. We church ends at 10, so had to get the little ones straightened out but I told him to hurry up and get down
It's all
here.
good. We just fellowshipping.
Yes.
Well, we can start. We can go ahead and start with you. Um, Give us your name and where you from.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tamika Aldridge. I am the co-founder of Reset Wellness and one half of I Married My Weedman. We are located in Washington, D.C., and we are so honored and blessed to be here with you. So thank you so much for the invitation.
We are so honored and blessed to have you here. Thank you so much for accepting us. I know you told me you guys had a lot of invitations, and so
Yeah,
to
it's been
have it on your
crazy.
show, I like
We
that. I
filmed
appreciate
like two other Valentine's Day podcasts this week. So
you. Okay.
looking forward to seeing all of those get posted today. Let the people hear us speak, see what we got to say about today,
Yeah, we
this
could.
love day, love day.
All right, so let's start with I was trying to get these together, but I'll ask you when, and where did you all meet?
So we, it's funny. He's from uptown DC, Northwest DC.
Hmm.
Oh, he's actually coming down now. And I was with my girlfriend at her grandfather's house, actually. So I was friends with the twins, and he was friends with their brother.
Who are
So,
the twins?
so some friends of mine, some old friends of mine.
Okay.
So we kind of all met. And he just like he. So the story goes that he saw me the day before he said something to me. So he saw me walk by his friend's bedroom door, and he was just like, if I come back over here and I see her, I'm gonna ask for the number. I'm gonna ask her for her number. And then he was just kind of saying he didn't want to ask his friend who I was. He just really wanted to find out on his own.
Hmm.
So is that right? Because
So
he's
far,
finally joining us, and
yeah,
it's
so far so
actually
so
Reset
good.
Wellness underscore DC.
Okay, let me fix that.
But yeah, so that's how we met. So the next day, it just by coincidence, I consume cannabis, and I was back at my girlfriend's house, and she couldn't. And I called, my person to bring me something, and they didn't answer. So she called her person, and it happened to be him. So he comes over, of course, and then he sees that it's me. And he's like, oh, yeah. And honestly, it was like love at first sight. We've been together, ever since that day. We definitely started out as friends. And, we used to sit in the car and talk until the sun came up. And, all that. I was
Oh,
22,
All that
about to
corny
be
stuff.
23. And he had just turned 23
Mm.
that January.
so you a
So,
cougar?
Mm. Puma,
yeah,
Puma.
so
A
we,
puma.
we've been together at this point, as of February, we've been together for 19 years, and
Wow,
we'll celebrate our ninth anniversary on May 12th of this year. So
that's dope.
19, almost 2 decades together.
So I'm okay. So now, where was y'all's first date?
Outback in
Out back
Bethesda.
in Bethesda, Maryland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who,
that
who
was my
was that?
favorite spot. We used to go there
Okay.
and watch the games. Me and
No,
the
wait.
fellas.
Was that the
Yeah.
first one?
Hmm.
Okay, we went to Houston's after that.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
later.
because he introduced me to the Hawaiian at Houston's, and it was kind of all over after that.
You got
Now,
It
you.
was
the second day was pork and beans.
so that was the third day. That's when I went out of town with you.
No, no, no. We was at the house.
No, I thought we were at your mom's cabin.
No, no, no. That was at the honey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, it's been so
In
long, we
19
don't
years,
even
listen,
remember.
that's cool. The fact that y'all can remember that first one is,
But
is,
yes,
is dope as
Outback
all
was
know it anyway.
definitely our first date.
That's what's up. So y'all been married. So y'all been together 19 and married for 9. And I
Hmm.
heard you on one of your podcasts, or one of the I was just listening on your page. It said you had you guys got to really live your life as a couple before you had kids. And
Mhm.
I think that's so important. Um,
Yes.
so many times people just get pregnant. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right away. Like you meet somebody, you get pregnant, and y'all just a family, and you don't even really know the person that you with.
Pers-
Mhm.
And listen, even after 19 years, we're still learning
Shit.
who we are. Because for us, you got to remember us meeting so young, from the 22-year-old that he met to the 40-year-old that I am now, I'm different. I'm not the same
Mhm.
Tamika he met, in what was that, 2003? Yeah,
Mhm.
2003.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So what we've had to learn as of late, especially maybe over the course of the past 3 years, is how to effectively reintroduce ourselves to each other.
Mhm.
Because I'm moving into a space, or these past few months, I've moved into a space of just personal development, healing, past traumas, really just
Mhm.
wanting to be able to be my authentic self, right?
Mhm.
And that's much different. I show up much different than I even showed up 90 days ago, so just therapy. I'm an advocate for therapy. And I just tell people, in therapy, I'm learning the tools to effectively communicate to him who I am now, what my boundaries are, what I am not willing to accept, even if I accepted it in the past, and vice versa. I have not been perfect. None of us are, but one thing that, and what it's really from Bubba, when we would really start going through things and I would really start questioning, and we'll get into, I'm sure, the church and, how we feel about being Christians and cannabis. But, I did experience some church hurt. So my faith was very weak. And I had left the church by the time I met him. But he would always say, I didn't make a vow to you. I made my vows to God.
Hey,
So
that's me
before
right
I
there.
do anything,
Real talk.
I keep that in the front of my mind, and for whatever reason, that would kind of calm me down. That would keep my mind from wandering and making up these scenarios, as most women do. We play it out all in our mind, and it can be completely wrong. It could be completely wrong. So I'm learning, I'm really learning to think before I speak. And, because I was the 0 to 1,000, and he's the very, as you can see, very laid back, not about to get bent out of shape, which frustrated me even more because I'm ready to be like, and he's looking at me crazy, like, girl, okay, what is all of this going to accomplish? So I think for us, it's just effective communication.
Yeah, I would. Go ahead.
I'm listening. No, go ahead. I want to hear what you had to say.
I would also add the one thing for me that I'm realizing too, that I think we both realize, we've been together so long, we thought we were adults at 23, and we weren't. And we weren't at all. We were young people. We were young adults.
Real
We were
quick, I
past.
don't want to cut you real quick,
Mm-hmm.
but your
No.
brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25 or 26. You don't even know
Mm-hmm.
how to logic and reason don't even work together yet until that age. So if you
Yeah.
married young, you're gonna miss that. But go ahead, my bad.
Yeah. No. I just and I think one of the things that we had to realize just even this recently, was that we're both unpacking things that happened to us in our youth, in our teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
We're just now realizing the words and how to identify some of the traumas that we went through even before we met. So I knew that going into this, there was going to be a certain amount of, and I hate the word baggage, but a certain amount of things that she had gone through, that I was going to have to deal with as an adult, and vice versa. It was going to be a certain amount of the way I operated, I knew was going to have to change. So you have to imagine, we've gone, 20 years, and we're just now at the point where we realize that these were traumas, these were, things that need to be addressed and dealt with. So I knew going into this that it was going to be work. I just didn't know how much work, and I'm finding myself having to do the work. You can't just argue and then wake up the next morning like it's all good. You have to revisit that stuff. You will have to keep picking that scab until that wound heals
Iron
all
them
the way.
wrinkles out.
Yeah.
That's real, man. And I'm on 9 years. No, I'm sorry, 8, going into 9. And I remember telling somebody, my wife and I courted her for 2 years, right? Before she's from another country, so we talked for 2 years, and we got this friendship. So I'm like, okay, our friendship is cool. We won't always be good. And then when you live with somebody, you realize y'all are two different people, and
Mm-hmm.
y'all are not the same people, but y'all want each
Mm-hmm.
other to be the same thought, and
So,
that's just
and
not
that doesn't
possible.
work like that. It does
Mm-hmm.
not
It
work like
doesn't.
that.
And you keep on trying to force your will on her, and she trying to
Mm-hmm.
force her will
Mm-hmm.
on you.
Yep.
And it's like,
Yep.
what the hell? What the hell? And then you're like, well, I thought we was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you don't understand me? I thought you've been knowing me all this time. But nah.
But you
And
really
like you
do.
said, we change, we grow, we change over the years. We mature. We're not the same. I'm definitely not the person I was at 23.
No.
You know, so and then that person has to go through that. I got a buddy who's been married 21 years now,
God
and
bless him.
man, they went through it. His wife don't smoke, and my wife don't
Mm.
smoke, right?
Mm.
Mm,
And they went through. I mean, they went through it. I mean, one time she threw a mug through the television because he was high,
mm,
and she was mad. He wasn't tripping off of
mm.
her. She did. I
Uh-huh.
mean, they went through, and every time I go through it or I have gone through it, I lean on him for counsel, and he tell me a lot of stuff, and then I'm like, okay, all right, and I just listen, and I listen to married couples tell me what to go, what's going on, and you everybody go through it. That's the one thing I didn't realize. I thought we
Everybody
were
goes through
vulnerable.
Everybody.
it.
I mean,
Everybody.
you know what I mean. I thought we
Yeah.
were. I thought we
I've
wouldn't go through it,
definitely
the
I've
shits, but we
definitely
went through it, and everybody does.
yeah, I
Mm.
definitely feel like when you have that foundation of friendship, it does help because there are times where I have been upset to my core, like ready to be like square up. We're about to fight. You know what I mean? Like just really at my wits end. But then I would have to pause and say, but at the end of the day, this is my best friend, right? And my best friend wouldn't do anything to maliciously hurt me. He wouldn't do anything with ill intent. So let me take a moment to reevaluate before I just fly off the handle. And it took me years. And I still have moments where I fly off the handle because I'm not perfect.
You're human, yeah, that's it.
And I feel like until the day I die, I'm going to be a work in progress in that department. But just really looking at him as my friend, not just as my husband in those rough times, has really helped me because I look at him, he wears so many different hats in my life. It's a lot when you're married, work together, children together, pandemic, quarantine. So
Mm-hmm.
our lives are so infused. Our friends are so infused. Our like we've been together so long that a lot of our habits and hobbies are the same. So we're together all the time. He always jokes like, "You're the only person on this planet that I can spend this much time with." Like normally
That's dope.
I need some me time or I'm ready to do my own thing, but like we literally do everything together. And when we don't, like when I go on my girl trip, which I do enjoy, don't get me wrong, like I need my breaks where I don't have no kids, no husband, so that I can kind of reset and, come back stronger and come back to fight another day. But even in those moments, I'm like, dang, I wish, because we have so much fun together. And he's like the mayor of DC. So wherever we
Hmm.
go, the red
I'm the
carpet
mayor,
is
by the way.
rolled
You know,
out.
mayor
Yeah,
man.
like the red carpet is rolled out for us. And,
That's
it's
what's
in
up.
those moments, I don't mind being Bub's wife when I'm going like, I'm Tamika, I got my own. But in those moments, I'm like, yes, I'm his wife. But I think,
What schools did y'all go? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. My bad.
no, I'm just saying like
What?
friendship is a key component of how we've lasted this 19 years.
Yeah, I think it's
And
great
cannabis.
they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Um, what high school did y'all go to? Which one did you go to and which one did you go to? You said you from Uptown,
I
right?
went to Coolidge in Northwest
Okay,
DC.
Yeah. I graduated from Carroll.
okay.
And then I
So y'all,
graduated because I was a little bad back then. I was a little fighter. But I graduated from Washington Lee in Arlington. Because
okay.
DC was over me. By that point, they was like, you gotta go. Oh, I mean, I'm
They
telling the
sent you to
truth,
VA. That's what's up.
The
Hey,
truth say
listen.
the devil, right?
That's what's up. All right,
But I
so
spent most of my high school years at Coolidge.
okay, and then the
Mm-hmm.
last senior year you had to roll out.
See, yeah, I had to. So terrible. But I'm not like that now. I fight for Jesus.
That's what's up. Who fell in love first?
He told me he loved me first, but I fell in love with him like literally the day I laid eyes on him. He was just different. And you know, it's like when you meet that, I never really believed in that whole love at first sight. But when I met him, you know, so we're kind of from, you know, opposite sides of the track, if you, you know, for lack of better phrasing. I grew up foster care, kind of bounced around family, you know, so I just always was a survivor, and I had a little sister that I had to look out for and things like that. So when he met me, you know, I would be outside. I was on the block. I was, you know, I didn't carry purses. I was such the tomboy. And he would always be like, you know, like, where's your purse? I'm like, you trying to get me robbed? You know, like, it's my stuff in my pocket. Like, what are you talking about, purse? So he introduced me to a different life, you know, and he did it so effortlessly, almost to the point where I felt like almost self-sabotaging, because I had never had a man treat me the way that he treated me. He wasn't trying to sleep with me. Like, I even went to my dad and was like, is there something wrong with him? Because he ain't even like, he ain't even asked, right. You know, we had like even our first kiss was months. And I was really like, who is this dude? You know, like what's going on? But he definitely, you know, exposed me to a different life. He's the first person I went out of the country with. You know, we definitely ate good all the time. He knew all the spots, you know. And he comes from this loving family, you know, they just so it was something different. And I just was like, oh, that's my boo. Like, whatever it is, you know, I was willing. And he proposed like 7 years after 7 years. So you know how it is, especially in the Black family. Oh, you're wasting your time. He's never going to marry. You've accepted. You gave him the milk without the, you know, and all. I was getting all of that. But what I finally had to tell my family and my friends was, for him, I'm willing to take the 50-50 chance. But what I'm not willing to do is tell him or ask him to marry me, because I am very traditional in that sense. And I feel like if a man truly loves you and you are his person, he's going to ask. So for him, I was willing to take that 50-50 chance. And luckily for me, it worked out, you know, and that's
what it was for me. I just wanted to see that you was willing to roll the dice, because I knew my thing was like, for me, marriage is forever. That's it. It ain't no going back. So if you let me know that you willing to take a chance on me, I'll make it worth your while. I got you. You know, like it'll work out. We'll make it work out some kind of way. And she showed me she was willing to take a chance on me, because I got a lot of stuff with me too. You know, like it wasn't about, you know, like her fitting my needs. It was more so about us fitting each other's needs. And I think, looking back, I don't know what I was saying at the time, but I think looking back at it, I was like, I needed to know that you gonna rock with me regardless. And she showed and proved that time and again. So I just felt like it was only right that I honor my word, and, you know, we lock it in.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. And you know, it's funny because that's the one thing that always happened with, you know, they say misery love company. And people are always trying to tell you what you should do and who you should love and how you should love, but nobody knows you, and nobody knows how you should love and how you need to be loved. And I remember I had buddies of mine who would tell me stuff, you know, about how to go hard, you know, what you supposed to do this and this and that, and this what you supposed to do to them. And then when they get hit with this shit, I'm like, wait a minute,
What?
you back with her? Like, I mean, I'm like, wait, oh, so when feelings really get involved,
But, and
we
I
all
always tell people
a bunch of M&Ms, right?
I always tell people that matters of the heart, you can't really determine, you know, who you're going to have that type of connection to. Because before him, you can ask any of my ex-boyfriends, which weren't a lot because I met him at, you know, 22, 23, but one and done. That's just how I was. Because I saw in the comments, somebody said, were both of your parents married for a long time? I was one and done because my parents were not married. You know, never. They were never. His parents were men. They've been married for almost like 43, 45 years, you know, 40 plus years. So he had that type of upbringing versus me. I'm like, because of what I saw my mom go through and other women in my life go through, I was always, you cross me, I'm done. There is no second. There's no strike three. It was one and done with
Strike
me.
one, you out.
Strike one, you out. Game over.
Better swing right.
And I was
Well, I was saying, boy, she got a curveball. You better watch out.
so I knew it was special when we had
you couldn't chop him off, right? You couldn't get rid of him.
And I tried. I tried, like, you know, change the number and told my father don't answer the door and, you know, all of that. But for whatever reason, you know, God just kept bringing him back into my life, you know, and he was determined. He was like, no, you my girl. And I'm like, no, I'm not, you know, leave me alone. Let me be free.
I seen a few come crawling back too. Like, if we would be together and here they come, we out in public and I spot him across the room. He wanna come over and say something, you know. But she was giving, I moved on, you know.
Yeah, that did happen a couple times.
Oh, I know them snakes. I know them serpents. That's them serpent. That's that serpent. I know how they do, man. Man, that's what's up, man. I love y'all relationship, man. You know, and going through what you all have been going through and being able to be, like I said, I've been listening to y'all's, man. I don't know how much I listened to yesterday. I was like, I'm trying to listen. I listened to like three of y'all podcasts, but I listened to I listened to most of the one about Christianity. I listened to the one on BDSM and kink and all that stuff, and I listened to another one y'all talked about relationships and being able to counsel people, you know, and being able to, like, just the stuff you've told me about growing and growth and hearing that and hearing from other married couples, because a lot of times when you in your marriage and in your fights and in your shit, you don't know who to talk to sometimes. You don't know who you can trust with the information you're going through, and you don't know what they've been through. And then when you hear like, oh damn, y'all went through that, oh she did that and you did that, and you're like, wow, this is what everybody go through. Then you can share your experiences. You know, we had I'll give y'all, we had my wife and I had miscarriages, and I didn't know how many people had them. I didn't know how common they were
until you talk about it.
And I was like, damn, and so you know, you thinking you the only person who felt this, or you know, I didn't know it was that many people. And like you said, until you know,
we had that experience as well, and
it was crushing. It was crushing. We gave up trying to have kids.
We did, man. It's
and
a
so
hard
both
thing.
of our children are actually miracle kids, and you know, I was supposed to have to go through IVF, you know, all these things. They told us like our chances was about 20 to 30% to, you know, do it naturally. And, you know, I went through all this testing and prod, you know, went through that whole thing. And then I just was like, this is not for me. So if it's meant to be, it'll be, you know, I couldn't.
It was a whole host of emotions first, because it was like, you know, you start to question your faith sometimes when you are a believer. And you know, and you know that God knows the desires of your heart. So you really start to feel like God owe you something, and he owes it to you for you to be rewarded because you've been faithful to Him in your marriage, and to Him just how you live every day. So you start to feel like God owes you something, and He does not, you know. So we started to feel, we had an experience in which we had just joined this. It was a newly forming church, and we were going every Sunday. We're trying to be faithful.
Wait, are you about to tell the altar story?
Yeah. But I mean, to keep, you know, we just had to literally, they called us up to the altar, and we didn't know what they wanted to pray for us. The pastor wanted to pray for us. And we had the miscarriage that week, that Wednesday.
And nobody knew.
Nobody knew. And we were in church that Sunday. And we had just told our family that we were expecting too. We were trying to wait.
We had just
announced like, oh, we're having a baby, you know. And so when I tell you we laid it on that altar and let it go, and honestly said, if it's meant to be, it will be. And you know, we had, because at that point the pregnancy wasn't expected. And then afterwards, we had started looking into the idea of IV, you know, fertilization treatments and all of that kind of stuff. But when I tell you, we laid it on that altar and walked away, and God just worked it out, you know, in the manner that He worked it out for us, because we let it go.
And that was a 3-year span. It didn't happen, you know, overnight. It wasn't like, you know, and that's what I tell people about having faith. It don't happen on our time. It happens on God's time, you know, and it happened that way because when I look back, as hurt as I was, our daughter was 2 going on 3 when this happened. And I was just so torn up, but then I had to remember, well, at least I have her. Right. And even her being here was a miracle. And I remember thinking, you know, like, I'm gonna try, and, you know, I'm looking at I'm downloading the apps and tracking everything and doing all this stuff. But I remember when the pastor randomly called us up and he put his hand on my stomach and was like, open her womb. And he had no idea.
Because we private.
No idea.
About everything.
So that broke me down. And that's why I tell people, like, you can't tell me God isn't real. Because I have 2 miracles that I look at every day. You know, with my daughter, they brought in students to look at my MRIs and stuff. And they're like, we don't, you know, I had so many cysts. They were like, we don't even know how she got pregnant naturally. So they were like, do you mind if we bring, you know, we were at GW, like, do you think we can bring some, you know, some students? I mean, at Holy Cross, that's where we had Tegan. Could we bring some students in to kind of tell them about your situation? And I said, you need me to talk to them about God? Because that's the situation. There's nothing medically. There's no way. You've already told me. You know what I'm saying? You've already told me there's no medical explanation to how I got pregnant. So who else could it have been?
Who but?
So I know my children will be great. I know they have purpose. So we try to pour into them as much as we can. And to let them know, like, y'all are angels, y'all are blessings, y'all are walking miracles, and there's power in that. You know, he always tells my daughter she willed herself here.
She had the will to be on this planet.
And then the year I found out I was pregnant, 2016, in March, my daughter drew up, and I still have the picture. My daughter drew a picture of me with a baby in my stomach, standing under a rainbow. And at the time, I knew nothing about rainbow babies, nothing about that phrase. But when I went, her school is down the street from my in-laws. And when I got there, his dad showed me this picture and was like, do you have something to tell us? And I was like, no. And he shows me the picture. The next day I go to school and all her teachers are like, congratulations, we're so happy for you. And I'm like, what is going on? And they're like, Tegan told us you're expecting. I'm like, no, we're not expecting, you know.
She started coming to sleep in the bed.
And she started coming and my daughter has slept through the night from day one. She was like the perfect baby, you know, but she started getting up in the middle of the night and coming in, and she just wanted to be up on me. And I didn't find out, I didn't get pregnant, or, you know, we didn't conceive until November. of that year. So it wasn't even like I was pregnant and I didn't know and she knew. It was months later that it happened, you know. And I tell people, like, that was her prophesying and willing her brother here, because she told us, even we finally told her that we were pregnant. She said, I know my brother is in there. So we were trying to prepare her, like, well, you know, God can give us a brother or a sister. You know, I don't want you to be disappointed. You can get either or, mommy and daddy. You know, we can't pick that. And she just was so adamant, like, that's my brother. What are you talking about? And it ended up being a boy, you know. So we believe, you know, that they are just miracles.
Well, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. My real life relationship with my Savior has more to do with real agape love and nothing to do with fictional coincidence. Nothing you just said is made up, and none of it is a coincidence. All of it happened with faith in God's time, and
Divine
God,
order.
everything. Even everything I've been listening to, I've been wanting to say, let me jump in and say something, but I wanted to hear. But going back to the beginning, from when y'all, and I was going to say this at the beginning. I remember I used to work with this couple. I used to do videography, and I used to work with this guy, so I did their wedding, and I asked him how they met. He said God pushed them together. He said he was in a room and he got moved over here, and she got moved over here, and they both got sat next to each other and pushed. And they didn't, neither one of them. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, and they both said it with conviction.
Conviction,
Like
yeah.
I couldn't, you know, I'm like, okay, both of them said it. It happened to both of them. I was like, all right, but God puts you with who you're supposed to be with.
Yes.
And then you got all of those serpents telling you to eat from this other fruit all the time. It's going to always be there. They're going to always come in with the distraction to tell you. And as long as you stay steady in your faith, you're going to have these miracles, because you're going to see God's vision, because God's going to show you the vision and the miracle. And you're going to see all those things happen in the time they're supposed to, because he showed you, because that's the power.
And that's his
Power of
love for
love.
us. That's his,
it.
yeah, exactly. That's his love for us. You know, so how amazing is that to be having this conversation on a day that's dedicated to love? You know, God show every day new mercies, because we don't deserve it. We don't deserve
Yes,
it.
you do
You
deserve it,
know.
though. You know why? And I'm going to tell you why you do deserve it. And I told somebody this the other day, because your father wants the best for you. And you deserve everything he give you and everything that was laid out for you. He wants you to get there the right way. He wants you to walk the right path to get it. But you deserve it. And it's there. It's everything that you want, everything that you desire, as long as it's good. And even if it's bad. You know, you can get all your bad wants as well. But that's where you're gonna go on. That's when you're going off the trail. That's when you backslide, and that's when you off, and that's when you're not gonna get. You're gonna get it. You're gonna
But
get the
not
good
in
and the
the way
bad. You
you
know
were
what I mean?
thinking.
Exactly. But everything I'm saying, I do believe you deserve it, and I believe that God's perfect will is for us to be loved and to have the glory and the riches of heaven. And that's it. That's the love that he give us, and that's the love that we all share. So
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
deserve it. That's all. That's just my
Yeah.
my take on
Yeah,
that.
that's funny that you would say that, because that was my approach when we first met. I felt like that she had kissed a lot of frogs. so, so you know, so it was my job to show her something different, because I felt that she deserved it, and I always felt like she needed to be covered, and I could be her cover, like I could be God's covering for her through me. And that's honestly how I felt about the relationship, that I was sent to cover her.
And she had to accept it, right?
Yeah. And still, and I
To
still be
this
trying
day.
to let her know I'm your covering. I'm here
Right.
to cover you, you know, from the
Right.
bull, from the BS, from the ways of the world, as much as I can. you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how I've always felt about it. Like, she deserves the best, and I have to be my best in order to try to provide that for her, you know.
And God put that battery in your back. You know what I mean? Like you said, when you first saw her, when you said you wasn't even here when she said that, but when you
Mm-hmm.
first saw her, you was like, I'm coming back for her.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
knew it then.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so that's when God said, I got one for you. This is the one.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't know it
Mm-hmm.
at the time because you just
Nah,
working. You just
right.
doing what you got to do. But you
Mm-hmm.
know something about this one. And now look at all of the miracles that he provided
Mm-hmm.
and having you question the faith. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
what, God wants you to question it. You need to question it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to question
Mm-hmm.
how great this is. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
unimaginably beautiful. It's impossibly beautiful. So you have to question that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
How could something be this great? Like you
And
said,
that's
Mm-hmm.
why
how
do I
it
deserve
that's
this?
how I felt when I met him, so I will say that to any women, that are listening and that are kind of in that beginning dating phase, strategic silence is what my pastor calls it. We're always so ready to say something back or, kind of have the last word. But I would honestly, challenge us to sometimes just take a step back. You know, we not always right. And I know that's kind of hard to, a hard pill for a lot of women to swallow, especially, when you're young. Like I was young, I was fly, I was cute, I was like, and that's why I always said it was one and done because I didn't feel like I needed a man because I got this and I survived foster care and I survived, not having my mother and my father and I survived not
And
becoming
you
a
light skinned.
statistic. And I'm light skinned with pretty hair, I'm biracial. My mom is white, my dad is black. So I used to get a lot of the, she's exotic and my hair
Right.
was way longer and I'm from San Diego, so I had this kind of like Valley girl kind of vibe when I first got to DC. So of course all the guys was they were
Was
falling out
hollering at
over me. I'm not even, now that I think about it,
Oh,
I
I know you
don't.
are right. I
That's what's
had to
up.
let her know you are right. I
He
mean,
from DC. That's what tell him.
Yes, yes. Look, and it was so bad because when I first really started seeing him and he started like introducing me to his friends and our friend circle was kind of overlapping. I said to him, I said, "Oh, I can't date you." And he was like, "Why you say that?" I was like, like it's been fun, but this not really gonna work because I do my own thing. I'm not a part of the in crowd. I may know the in crowd and I might be around the in crowd, but I'm not a part of the in crowd. I do my own thing, and I see you're a part of that circle, and so you go ahead and we can be friends. You can come through from time to time, but I think we should just be friends. And he was like, I hear you, but I need to make one correction. I'm not a part of the in crowd. I am the in crowd. What could I say? What could I say to that?
you coming with.
Yeah.
What could I
Yeah.
say? So all I
Nothing.
could say was,
You
okay.
coming with. You coming with. Come on.
Yeah. So, and
let
that
me
made
just
me
let me just
realize,
correct you real quick
Listen,
while
say,
you.
got him.
look, and that was,
Got
but
him.
what that showed me, or what that confidence he had when he said that
Mhm,
showed me that he was a leader and not a follower, so there
mhm,
were certain things that I had always looked for in a man, that I never found, or this one will have this and that one will have this, but Bubba really embodied what I said I wanted if I was to ever get married, because that was the other thing. I was
mhm,
so damaged
mhm,
that I had told him, like, I don't want to be married. I don't want to have
mhm,
children. I would never do that. I don't know how to be a mother or a wife. So I don't want to, if that's what you're looking for, I'm not that. I'm in the street, you know, I was hustling, I was doing my own thing, you know, taking care of my sister. I just felt like that's not the life for me, you know. And through therapy over these last few years, you know, I've been unpacking all of that, like why I felt that way and why. And it wasn't that,
it still manifests.
yeah, and it wasn't that I didn't want to be married or didn't want to have children. It was just that in that time of my life, felt like I wasn't deserving of that because every person in my life was just disappointing me. Every promise was broken. Every, you know, I'm my dad coming to see me and, you know, not showing up. So I just was very kind of like, you know, I guess trying to have like this male mindset. Like I'm gonna just, you know, he's gonna be like the rest, and I'm just using these dudes like how they use us, and I'm on to the next. You know, I'm gonna get what I need to get, and I'm out of here. I was not the relationship, like I was not looking for anything serious. But he was, you know, of course, in the beginning, he's like, yeah, you know, we don't need to label it, blah, blah, blah. But when he saw how serious I was about really not trying to be serious, he was like, oh, nah, you my girl. What are you talking about? Like, you ain't going nowhere. And we've been together ever since.
Well, that's dope, man. That's
Yeah.
but you know, like we said again, that's God's work and nothing but God. And let's get on that, man. Ma'am and ma'am. Let's talk about your spiritual background and your walk. Like, how did it start, and how has it evolved up until now to where you are?
I was raised in the church. My parents were active members of the church. I was raised Lutheran, which was different. I think my church, it may be only like 3 Black Lutheran churches in DC that I know of. So the denomination was already kind of different, and I realized it was different when I would go visit other churches and stuff like that. I could see the differences in my church, but I was fortunate enough to have pastors that were not the fire and brimstone type, but more of the teaching type. Like, you're not gonna get fire and brimstone in the Lutheran church anyway. It's real quaint. It's real quiet, reserved. Yeah. Which looking back now, my grandmother was a member of that church, and it makes sense because that's how her demeanor was. So it kind of made sense that that's the lineage that has taken shape in my family. But I've always been a churchgoer. There have been times, but I've never been the church type, if that makes sense.
I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I go every Sunday when I'm kind of in that mode, but I feel like God, I've always felt God in me, with or without the church.
You didn't need to be in church to know that God was present, or to
Exactly.
reinforce. You didn't have to go to church to reinforce God's presence.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
God, I literally have times in which I'll hear a voice that says, turn right. And I don't know why, you know, where it came from, and I'll turn right, and then I look left and an accident happens. Or, you know, there's been nights where I've been maybe leaving the spot, leaving the club or something, and he'll say, wait at the door. And I don't know why, but by the time I leave, there's shooting going on outside. You know what I mean? Like, or you like literally, I've had bullets whizzing past my head leaving the club. Had I left
a second earlier, right?
Half a second earlier,
right?
We wouldn't even be on this call. So I've always adhered to that little voice inside of me, and I feel like that little voice inside of me is God. It is God's presence, and I think God lives within us all, and it's up to us to adhere to the voice or not. And that goes across any religion, any denomination, any sect, of religion, that it is upon us to listen to that little voice inside us. I think that's God. I think God lives in us all.
I agree with you 100%, and I think that was something that I did speak about earlier, is that gut feeling that you get, that 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 gut, that hold up,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that's that's no coincidence.
No.
That's not fiction. That didn't, you know, that happened. You know what I mean? Can't nobody tell you that didn't happen. Somebody can try to, nobody else might have heard it, but you know you heard it, and you know you heard them wizards going by. So, and that's the thing about what I've learned with my faith and my walk, is that I don't need anybody's confirmation. You know, and I always tell people, you can tell me what God told you. You can't tell me what God told me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's my
So
3-year-old. I knew he was gonna find us.
that's it. All right, look.
I knew it wasn't gonna last for
It's been a
so
minute. I
long.
know. Oh man, hold on, man. I
But
got a lot of questions. Tell them to chill out. I got some
yeah.
more questions.
So I
No,
grew
but
up.
no, if we gotta wrap it up, we can.
No, I grew up Baptist
Okay.
in the Baptist
Mhm.
church. Family full of preachers, ministers, deacon, just a very strong foundation in the church. My aunt founded one of the largest youth choirs here in DC, so I was a church girl. So by the time we transitioned out of foster care, my grandmother lived in DC. Her and my aunt flew us here and took me and my little sister in. And that's baby. And that's what kind of started my church journey in California. We just lived on the beat. We really lived in that way.